What's up, and welcome back to another video. I'm Kipper. You can call me Kipper, and I'll call you subscriber because we both know that you are subscribed and you liked this video and you're gonna leave me a comment because you're just awesome like that and I appreciate you. And once you're done with that, then we can get into the video. And that video is a melon pumpkin farm video. It's easy, it's fast, it's upgradable, it's everything you could need. And let's get started. These are the materials you'll need to build this farm. Is everything right here. And then you need to find a 16 by 16 area. And 13 by 13 of that is going to be farmland. The rest is going to be our outer wall sections. And once you have your area, we're going to come down here to this corner, break out these 3 blocks, and then we're going to place in a double chest and a hopper going into that chest. And then we're going to place a solid block behind that hopper, and we're going to place a powered rail on top of it. And that is the beginning of our collection system. And then we're going to place down 2 regular rails and then another powered rail. And then we're going to come to the opposite end, and we're going to skip 2, and we're going to have a powered rail there. And then the rest is going to be regular rails in this row. And this is going to be the pattern that we follow for our whole collection system all the way down to the other end. So we'll just come down here and we'll start looping regular rails till we get to here, and then a powered rail, and then regular, and then powered rail. And then we'll just keep looping it just like this. Powered rails in the same spots, regular rails in the same spots on each row until we get to the other end. And once you've done that, we need to go underneath our powered rails so that we can power our powered rails. So dig down a few blocks on one side, and then you can just tunnel a straight line under your powered rails, and we're going to place levers on the bottom of all the blocks underneath them. So you dig the tunnel, place all your levers, flip them, and it'll power your row of powered rails. And we need to do this for this side also. And once you have that done, we'll go back to the end of the farm, and we're going to place a solid block right here where the last rail goes. So right there, solid block, and then we'll replace this one with a powered rail, and we're going to put a lever right there and power that rail. And that is the basis of the collection system complete. So now we want to go to one corner of the farm, and you're going to place a dirt block above your rail. That's going to be where our farmland goes, but first we want to build up 2 more blocks on top of that one, so you've got 3 blocks up right here. And we can actually replace this top block with one of our other building blocks and get rid of that one, and then we're going to put a piston facing down right there. And then we're just going to alternate this pattern, block piston, till we get to the end of the farm down here. Make sure all your pistons are facing down, because it's what's gonna harvest the pumpkins and melons in this farm. So we just keep going till we hit our block behind us. And you should have something like this. It goes right to the edge of our farmland, and it alternates piston block, and then we're just gonna continue this on in a checkerboard pattern all across the top of our farmland until every bit of the dirt below us in a 13 by 13 is covered by this pattern of pistons and blocks. So all the way down to back here, just covering up our dirt blocks. And when it's done, you should have something that looks like this, a checkerboard pattern of pistons and blocks. You can check it from the top just to make sure everything's lined up in place right. And now on to the next part, which is lighting the farm. And we're going to be using jack-o'-lanterns for this. So we're going to go count in 3 and then over 1 from that corner. And then we're going to count 3 back from that one, and then 3 more, just like that. So we've got 3 pumpkins there, and then we're going to count 3 in from this one. We don't want to break a piston, so we're going to go over by 1. So that's in 3, don't break the piston, go over by 1. And then we're just going to go 3 back, and then we're going to go 3 back, technically 4 on this side because we're skipping. We don't want to break our pistons. And that will keep the farm lit up. And now we're going to put slabs where our water sources are going to go. So we're going to go to the bottom of the farm. And we're going to go to this corner over here across from where our collection system is. And we're going to count diagonal in by 1, 2, 3 blocks, 4 blocks. We're going to put that one there, and that is underneath a piston. So we're just going to move that to the back of the farm by 1 so that it's not under a piston. And then going straight back to this corner of the farm, we're going to go 1, 2, so that's 2, 3, 4, 5 blocks diagonal, and we're going to put one right there, and that's not under a piston. And then we're going to go to this one, and we're going to count in 3, 4 blocks. That's under a piston, so we're going to just move it that way 1. And then we come to this corner, and we go 5 blocks diagonal, so 3, 4, and 5. And that's not under a piston, so it's good. And this is where our water sources are going to go for this farm. And now we're going to place our dirt and plant our crops 1 row at a time. So we're going to come back here. We already got one right here. So we're just going to finish out this row, bring it all the way to the end. And then this row, we're just going to do melons. We're just going to alternate rows. So we'll do every other block. Make sure we're not planting under a piston. Make sure that you're only hoeing and planting crops under our solid blocks, not the pistons. And then this whole row is melon. And then we'll start with another row. We'll just place in this whole row. And then making sure we're not planting under a piston. And we'll do pumpkins for this one. It's going to be the same kind of checkerboard pattern as above with just dirt blocks and crops. And we're going to just carry this through all the way to the other end. 1 row melons, 1 row pistons, just alternating this checkerboard pattern. And once you've gotten 1 row past your slabs, we can put water in them once there's blocks all the way around them so that it's not going to spill out. And then you just continue on with your pattern, planting the crops and filling this farm. And once it's done, it should be looking like this. Now we just need to kind of wait for the crops to grow before we can start collecting anything and harvesting anything. So while we're waiting, we're going to get out some glass, and we're going to come over here to one of your corners, and you're just going to build a wall of glass around it. This is going to help keep any items from popping out of the farm. It's going to keep everything being harvested in the farm, and it just kind of looks nice. So we'll just wrap a layer of glass all the way around, just like this. And this is how it should be looking so far. Nice checkerboard pattern, except for the pumpkins for light, the glass around it, checkerboard pattern of crops that should be growing. Now we need to go back to the corner by our collection system, and we're going to place a redstone dust right here next to our very first powered rail. And then we're going to break 8 blocks in this direction, just like this. So we'll go 8, and then we're going to come back over here next to where we put our redstone dust by the collection system. We're going to skip a block, and we're going to break out 2 more, just like this. We're going to place a redstone torch right there. We're going to place a repeater facing that torch, and now we need to move this lever. It is actually in our way. So we're going to get down here, we're going to break this lever, and then we're going to move the powered rail also. So we'll replace that, and now we're going to break this rail. We're going to move it over by 1 right here, and we're going to put the lever right above it to power that, and then we're just going to put a regular rail right there for that spot. And now we need to put a redstone dust down there. I know it doesn't look like there's one there, but there's one there. So make sure right behind our repeater is the dust in this hole. And then once we have that, we're going to come back here, and we're going to place a solid block right above our redstone dust. just like that. And now we want to get out a comparator. We want to put a comparator facing that block we just placed down. And then we want to skip 2 blocks and put a comparator facing the opposite direction. So it should look like this. 2 blocks in between, and they're facing opposite of each other. Now we're going to get out a hopper. We're just going to put 1 there, and then we're going to crouch and place that hopper facing this hopper, and then replace that one so that it's facing the other one, so that these hoppers are funneling into each other just like this, because they're going to pass items back and forth that'll make our clock. And then we're going to put another solid block right there, and then we're going to put pistons on top of those solid blocks. And then we're going to place solid blocks next to each of those pistons above our comparators. So solid block there, solid block there, and then we're going to place a block of redstone right there. So we have redstone dust, redstone torch, repeater facing torch, redstone dust behind it, block on top with a piston on top of that block. And then there is a block in front of that piston, and under that block should be the comparator facing the piston, and then a hopper and a hopper, redstone block on top of this hopper. There should be another solid block with a comparator facing the piston, and then another piston. And this is what will power, I guess not power, this is what will launch our collection system. It's going to be on a timer to launch our minecart to pick everything up every so often. So we're actually going to break these blocks back out, and then we need to put 2 stacks of filler blocks into our hoppers. And that's going to be what sets the clock to activate our collection system. And then we're just going to stick a solid block right there with a lever on it, and that will start and stop or pause and play our collection system. We can turn the lever off to stop the hoppers from passing the sticks and powering the redstone. And now we're going to come back over here to our redstone torch. We're going to place a block on top of that redstone torch, and we can actually go ahead and place down a minecart hopper. And then we're going to go back to the block on top of our redstone torch and place a redstone torch on top of that block, and then another block and another torch. And then we're going to do 1 more block so that it's all the way up to the top of the farm. So you should have this. There should be a torch down here, torch, block, torch, block, torch, block. Just like that. And then we're going to take redstone dust and we're going to go out by 2, and then we're going to fill in this whole line. Just like that. We take a comparator. We want to put it on 4 ticks, so click it 3 times so that it's all the way back like this. And then we're going to place a solid block right in front of that repeater, and then another line of redstone dust, just like this. And then we're just going to repeat that pattern all the way down. Another repeater on 4 ticks, and then another solid block, and another line of redstone dust. And each of these lines of redstone dust will power the line that it's on and one on either side of it. So this will activate all of our pistons to harvest all of our pumpkins and melons. So we just keep going with another line of dust after our repeater and our block, and then we get 1 more repeater, 4 ticks, so all the way back, and then the block, and then our line of redstone dust, all the way to the end. And that completes 1 layer of this farm. You can put a lever there, flip it to test and make sure all of the pistons are firing, they're all activated, and none of them are hitting a plant. And if everything looks good, and this is all you want to build, then I hope you enjoyed the video, because this is it. Collection system, harvesting system, this is everything. But if you want to build another layer to harvest even more pumpkins and melons, then we're going to come over here and we're going to place a block with a hopper into that block, and then we're going to break that block. And we're going to place a powered rail on top of the hopper, and then we want to put a block right there, and that'll stop our minecart. And that is the start of layer 2. So now we want to get out some regular rails, and we want to put down 6 of those right here, just like this, 6 rails. And then we want to get a detector rail, and then a powered rail, and then a detector rail. And they need to be detector rails and powered rails in the spots that they need to be in, or this will not work. So once you have detector, power, detector, we put another regular rail, and then a detector rail, a power rail, and another detector rail. And then we'll finish this row off with a regular rail, but you need to put them in the right pattern. And then for this side, we go with regular until there are 4 blocks at the end, and then we want to do detector, power, detector, and then we'll loop it around with regular rails. And this is a 2 rail section pattern that we're going to follow all the way down. So we're going to put 6 rails. So we actually went 1 too many. So we want a detector there, a power there, and a detector there so that it matches our first row. And then a regular one, detector, power, detector, and then a regular one, and then we go all the way to the last 4, and then we do detector, power, detector, just like this one, and then a regular rail, and then we start the pattern all over again with 6, and we're just going to repeat that until we get to the end. And when you get to the end, we're going to place a powered rail, and then we're going to place a block to stop the minecart, and then we're going to put a lever right there to power that rail. And that is the first layer of the collection system for the second layer of the farm. And it should look something like this. And we can come over here and place a minecart and a lever and just test and make sure that it activates all of our pistons as it goes through there. And it's already harvesting some melons back there. And if everything's working, then we're going to come back up here, turn it off. We're going to place a block right there and a block right there and a redstone dust on top of this one. We don't want that dust to be aligned, so if that dust is aligned, you probably still have your lever there, so break that so that our dust splits into 4 ways. And then we're going to come to this side where we have our hopper, and we're going to place a clay pot right there. And we're doing that because it's cheaper than a hopper. So then we're going to alternate and put another hopper, and then we're going to put another pot, and then we're going to put 1 more hopper. And this will save you a little bit of materials from making a bunch more hoppers. And that's the collection system for the top floor. And now it's just repeating the same thing we did on the bottom layer. We need to do our piston block checkerboard to harvest everything. So just alternate your pistons and blocks until you get the full checkerboard pattern, just like this. And then once you have that, we're going to place our slabs and our farmland, and we're going to alternate planting the crops row by row, just like we did for the first section. And we're going to wrap it in a layer of glass. We're going to place in our pumpkins for light, and then we're going to come back over here and we're going to keep our redstone torch block going until we get to the top. And then this is just going to be the exact same as when we stopped our first layer. So you do 2 redstone and then make that one a line, put a repeater on 4 ticks, a block, another line of redstone, then another 4 tick repeater, another block, another line of redstone, and you just keep repeating that till you get to the end. And you have your melon pumpkin farm. This works well up to 4 layers. If you get more than 4 layers, it's going to start outputting more than your hoppers can hold. So you'll either need to build up a double hopper line or just start a whole new section of a 4 segment farm. And yeah, that's it for this farm. That's it for this video. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you find it helpful. Please go like, subscribe, comment with YouTube's new engagement system. It really helps out. I really appreciate it, and I really hope to see you in the next one.